We have a heavyweight clash in the NFC as the Detroit Lions are taking on the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. This is your Week 1 2025 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe if you're new. Also hit the like button. Let's start off with the away team, the Detroit Lions. A lot of questions about the Lions entering this matchup because they're two brand new coordinators. On the offensive end, your brand new offensive coordinator is John Morton. Defensively, Kelvin Shepard, who's a former linebackers coach with this organization. But let's start off with the offense here. A lot of people may think the Detroit Lions are going to take a step back without Ben Johnson because he was this great offensive mind. He's a great offensive coach, and he still is. I wish him nothing but the best with the Chicago Bears. But this is the one thing when you change coordinators or just coaches in general in the NFL. Your head coach has set a standard if you're the Lions, and it's to go out there and play as a Lion. When he had his first press conference in Detroit, he came out and he said he wanted to run the football and bite off your kneecaps and to be aggressive as much as possible. That message resonated with the entire locker room, and it rubbed off of Aaron Glenn, and the same with Ben Johnson. They've become one of the most aggressive teams in the NFL since Dan Campbell has been the head coach. So if you think that the Lions are just going to roll over without Ben Johnson being their OC and without Aaron Glenn being their DC, you have another thing coming. John Morton has called offensive plays before in his career in 2017 with the New York Jets, but this is a different ball game. On the offensive end, you have one of the better quarterbacks in football in Jared Goff. He's one of the best passers in terms of just having accuracy working off of play action. And when I look at the Green Bay Packers, sure, they made a major trade last week by bringing in Micah Parsons, but you traded Kenny Clark to bring him in. Kenny Clark is on the decline in his career. He's not the same player that he once was, but he was a very good run stopper playing alongside Devontae Wyatt. I now look at the defensive tackle position as a thin position with Green Bay. So I expect for the Lions to go out there and run the football up the middle a lot with Dave Montgomery and to the outside with Jahmyr Gibbs. This should still be a run-heavy attack with Detroit. That's when you get to see Jared Goff at his best. Look at that game last year against the Seattle Seahawks. They caused so much misdirection with Jahmyr Gibbs and the save of David Montgomery. The Seahawks were so terrified of the run game to where Jared Goff didn't even miss a pass. The man went out there and he was perfect in that matchup. You want to see that in this game against Green Bay, and it is going to be tough. But you can go out there and you can set up some mismatch opportunities with the weapons that you have on the outside with St. Brown, one of the best wide receivers in the game. Jameson Williams, that huge deep threat, and I think that he's in for a big year this year. It's the reason why you selected him in the first round a few years back. And he had an ACL injury at that point in time, but he's been phenomenal based off of last season. Khalif Raymond is a very good wide receiver, and be on lookout for Isaac Tesla, who has had a phenomenal preseason and has looked phenomenal in training camp. You have weapons all over the field still, and you have Sam Laporta. It just comes down to how John Morton wants to use these weapons. He doesn't have to go out there and get too cute. It was a lot of times last year, Ben Johnson's coming up with these creative plays, and that can work out into your favor. But sometimes you stick to the basics. Run the football and find ways to take that pressure off of Jared Goff. And this is something else to pay attention to. Micah Parsons, he's questionable for this matchup. He's dealing with a slight back injury. He's not going to even play this entire game because he was limited this offseason. He didn't even work out with the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of it was because of that contract, but it was also because of this back injury. Last year, the Green Bay Packers, they did not have that much success in terms of getting to the passer over and over again. So if you give Jared Goff that clean pocket, he can slice and dice this defense up. Just avoid Xavier McKinney as much as possible because he's the best defender on the back end of this defense in terms of man and zone coverage. He's just a phenomenal safety to have. But you win those one-on-one opportunities on the outside, and the same with Sam Laporta, the Detroit Lions can march up and down this field. Another thing that I do want to bring up, you have a lot of changes on this offensive line. You still have Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell is one of the best tackles in the game. Taylor Decker, phenomenal left tackle. It's the interior of this offensive line. Frank Ragnow, he retired. Glasgow is now your starting center. We'll see how he looks at that position. And you drafted Tate in this year's draft class. He's your starting right guard. And Christian at your left guard position. So it's a lot of changing parts in the interior of this offensive line. But I still trust him enough with Dan Campbell being the head coach. He's going to tell John Morton, look, I want to run heavy base attack. Up the middle as much as possible. Bounce to the outside with Jahmyr Gibbs. And balance out that attack with that run game between these two amazing running backs. because David Montgomery is so good at breaking tackles and getting to the next level with his power. Jahmyr Gibbs, he has a lot of power to his game, but he's more explosive than David Montgomery. And look for those deep shots down the field with Jameson Williams. This is an unproven secondary with the Green Bay Packers outside of a name like Xavier McKinney. And they do have Nate Hobbs. More on the Packers here on the back half of this video. Defensively, you finally have healthy pieces up front. You selected Tyleik Williams in the first round. As a pass rusher, he's not there just yet. He's still raw. As a run stopper coming out of college, he's phenomenal at that level of his game. And I expect for the Green Bay Packers to lean on that run game with Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was a top running back last year in football, especially when Jordan Love went down. They had to start Malik Willis for a couple weeks. They ran the air out the football with Josh Jacobs. Make them pass that football around. Make them test out Kirby Joseph over the top. We always hear about Xavier McKinney in the season that he had. He had 8 interceptions last year. That was the second most in the NFL. Who had the most interceptions? It was Kirby Joseph. Kirby Joseph had 9 and 12 pass deflections, 58 solo tackles. Playing opposite side of him is Brian Branch, who could play all over the secondary. He's been one of the best players in this secondary since they drafted him in the second round. He's been phenomenal. Nickel cornerback position, safety position, he just moves around. He's everywhere on the field at once. Now, Terrion Arnold, you want to see him step up and make more plays this year. He needs to legit get into that role and be that true number 1 cornerback that Detroit is looking for. He's questionable for this matchup, but he's on pace to play in this game. And you have Amik Robinson to add on top of that. DJ Reed, you got him in free agency. Very good veteran corner to have. So this is a strong secondary on paper for Detroit. And you have the return of Aiden Hutchinson. In my opinion, if he did not go down last year against the Dallas Cowboys, this man would have won Defensive Player of the Year. He was phenomenal last season. He is Detroit up front. He's going to put a lot of pressure on Jordan Love and stop the run. Not too many defenders at his position, as young as he is, can do everything for you in terms of stopping the run and getting to the quarterback. He is what we call a true game wrecker. This entire front seven revolves around him. And I will give Aaron Glenn a lot of credit. His red zone defense last year, when Aiden Hutchinson went down, it was spectacular. We'll see if Coach Shepard has the same game plan. But going back and looking at what happened on Hard Knocks a few years ago, Coach Shepard's in there. He's grilling the running backs. He's grilling the linebackers. That's what you want out of your brand new DC. He has a similar game plan to Aaron Glenn. Focus in on a bunch of pressure, put that pressure on the quarterback, and make you test out that secondary and neutralize that run game. I'm not saying go out there and just solely don't worry about the run and solely don't worry about the pass game with Jordan Love. Jordan Love's a talented quarterback when he's fully healthy. And last year he wasn't fully healthy. Groin injury, knee injury. But you need to stop that run game because so much misdirection and play action can work off of that into Green Bay's favor. You want to make sure that Jordan Love is uncomfortable and put that pressure on him over and over again and play that tight man coverage. That's what Philadelphia did last year in the playoffs, and it worked out in their advantage. But Aiden Hutchinson, phenomenal. Jack Campbell, he's been a very good linebacker. He's one of the most underrated players in football. You have DJ Reader, Marcus Davenport. This is a very good defense for Detroit. You may worry about the coaching early on with John Morton and the same with Shepard. But I trust them to figure things out and lean on those players. I say this every time. You have to have good to great coaching to win in this league, for sure. But you have to have some pretty damn good players and even some great players to get you to that next level. And Detroit, they have that right now. Don't sleep on them as a main contender in the NFC this season. Now let's talk about Green Bay, the home team. They're going to come out rocking. They're going to come out excited because of that Micah Parsons trade. And let's start off with the defense here. Micah Parsons, I don't know how much he's going to play in this matchup. You didn't get to work out this offseason. He's now dealing with this slight back injury. It's nothing major. But the one thing that we do know about football, you're not going to get healthier by playing. But he's going to play in this matchup. They need him to wreak havoc as much as possible. You have very good talent in that front seven. You spent some high picks on names like Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt, Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker, Lucas Van Ness. But last year, you were 25th in pass rush win rate on regular dropbacks. You can't have that in this game, even without Micah Parsons. That's unacceptable. You need to get to Jared Goff and make him uncomfortable from the interior of this offensive line. Now, Devontae Wyatt In my opinion, he was a better player last year than Kenny Clark. That may be unpopular, but Devontae Wyatt is a very good football player in terms of getting to the passer and stopping the run. But can Colby Wooden playing alongside him, can he step up? And the same with Carl Brooks. That run defense may look a bit shaky right now because they're going to have to get used to playing without Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark, even though I say he's on the decline in his career, he was still stout against the run. It was just in terms of getting to the passer. And it was so many times last year, they did phase him out of the run game. But Rashawn Gary, he can step up. He was technically your best pass rusher last year, but having Micah Parsons in on those key downs should definitely help out with Green Bay and their pass rush. That's why you trade those 2 first-round picks and you traded Kenny Clark to bring him in. I still feel like the Green Bay Packers won that trade. I would put Micah Parsons in on 3rd down. If it's 3rd and long, and you can keep Detroit off schedule. If it's 3rd and 15, put in Micah Parsons. NASCAR package. Go out there and put your best pass rushers on the field. As far as the secondary here with Green Bay, like I mentioned before, Kirby Joseph is a phenomenal safety. This man, Xavier McKinney, last year played out of his mind. He was one of the best players last season, not just at the safety position, but just an impact on the field in football. Keyshawn Nixon, we'll see if he can take his game to the next level playing with Green Bay. Nate Hobbs has looked very good in the past with the Las Vegas Raiders. We'll see if he can carry that over with the Green Bay Packers. Javon Bullard is a very good player to have in the secondary at the nickel position. So you have some strong defenders on the back end. And all these players had to step up when Jair Alexander was out over the last 2 years dealing with injuries. But will it be consistent enough going against weapons like St. Brown and the same with Jameson Williams and having to cover Sam Laporta in space? You just have to be aggressive as hell up front to stop that run game and match that aggressiveness with Detroit because they're going to try to come out there and punch you in the mouth. And we've seen Green Bay go out there and try to match that punch Thursday night football game and the same on Sunday night against the Lions. It's just going to be tough as hell to do. But if it is a team that can do it, it would be Green Bay. Now, on the offensive end, Jordan Love, in my opinion, and I said this in my video when I was recapping the Micah Parsons trade, Jordan Love, when he's fully healthy, is a top talented quarterback in football. His first year as a full starter, he was phenomenal. Last year, injuries hurt him. The groin injury and the knee injury. And it started because of his offensive line when they went against the Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil. You have to keep Jordan Love upright. And if I'm Coach LaFleur, I would move him out early on in the game. Give him some opportunities to make plays with his legs. When he's throwing on the run, he's phenomenal. And the wide receivers, they have to step up. A lot of times last year when Jordan Love's holding on to the football for a very long time, no one is getting open. They didn't have that one breakout wide receiver. And Christian Watson, your big game wrecker, who's this big, fast, tall wide receiver, he's out for this matchup because he's still recovering from that ACL injury. But you selected Matthew Golden in the first round. They're going to need him to step in and be that electrifying wide receiver that he was at Texas. Jaden Reed is questionable for this matchup, but he's on pace to play in this game. Jaden Reed has been very good. Now, he plans to play with this fracture in his left foot. It's a Jones fracture. We'll see how that looks long term. But he had 857 receiving yards last year, 6 receiving touchdowns. Dontavian Wicks, 415 receiving yards last year, 5 receiving touchdowns. And Romeo Doubs. Those are fine wide receivers. They're consistent, but they're not true game wreckers. When it's 3rd and long, who is that guy that you go to and say, you know what, I'm not worried about it. We'll go straight to him. And if he's double covered, who else can go out there and get open in tight situations? I'm looking at Romeo Doubs and the same with Dontavian Wicks. But this wide receiving core, they need to step up in this matchup against the Lions because if they can't, it's going to be a long day. We all know what Coach LaFleur wants to do. He wants to go out there and pass the football around. But in order for him to do that, you need to keep the Detroit Lions honest. And I love what Coach LaFleur did last year when Jordan Love went down. He realized when Malik Willis, he's not the passer that Jordan Love is. I need to go out there and change my game plan. Let's run this offense through this highly paid running back in Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is going to have to carry this team on his back all the way through in this matchup if the pass game doesn't work out in the favor with Green Bay. But I trust that Coach LaFleur can cook something up. Regardless, you want to wear down the Lions. You want them tired in the second half so you can get some of those home run plays with Josh Jacobs. And pay attention to some of the misdirection and some of the motion with Coach LaFleur. He's done a phenomenal job of using tight ends in space, finding ways to get the defenses going one way and having the offense go through the other. That's why he's had one of the best coaching records for a young coach in NFL history. And that brings me to Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft has been a very good receiving tight end with Green Bay. And you have Luke Musgrave at the second tight end spot. But Tucker Kraft, in tight situations, give him the football across the middle of the field, especially on some of those choice routes. The offensive line with Green Bay, in my opinion, they're solid enough to go out there and give Jordan Love enough time. But we'll see how Coach Shepard likes to go out there and call plays. Aaron Glenn, he didn't blitz that much until Aiden Hutchinson went down. Then he sent in extra pressure. I imagine that this team is not going to try to go out there and blitz as much because Aiden Hutchinson is back. But if they do blitz, Jordan Love has been solid against the blitz in the past. But now you have a fully healthy Detroit defense for the most part, and you have a fully healthy Jordan Love. It just comes down to that injury with Micah Parsons. I know a lot of people, they're high right now on the Green Bay Packers, rightfully so. They're playing at home, healthy Jordan Love. You bring in Micah Parsons. I still feel like Detroit will have this game in their hands. It's going to be a close matchup, but I have Detroit winning this game 28-20. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have taking this game? The Green Bay Packers or the Detroit Lions? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.